Want to know the loot item I had the hardest time unlocking? Well, watch along and find out. The once and future thing, this side story unlocks the Sword in the Stone, and it is available immediately out of the tutorial in what the game considers Chapter 2, and it is interesting because Emma has a particular affinity for this item. I think that all of the different geniuses have a specific loot item that they get access to easier than other geniuses. So for Emma here, it just becomes available immediately as soon as you finish the tutorial. For anybody else, any other genius that you are playing as, you're going to need to get Atomic Ulga to spawn within this chapter. So place all of your criminal networks into the Hammer District, upgrade those to level 2, and then don't try and run heat reducing schemes. You want that heat to be as high as possible to hit the threshold of actually spawning your first super agent up here rather than in any of the other regions. So once you get Olga, then you'll be able to get the Sword in the Stone. Hammer is proving particularly troublesome foe for you lately. You need a tool with the power to help you triumph over them. So why not parry Hammer with a sword?
Side story.
I was worried they were going to say with a sickle, but sword sounds better. C'est moi, Lancelot! The sword sticking out of the stone has appeared in the countryside of Hammer territory. Legend says it's symbol of great power. You like great power. So send your minions to pull it from the stone for you. I don't really get the joke of having a French title for the obviously English mythos, but maybe someone in the comments can explain it for me. Clearly, your incompetent minions don't understand the simple act of pulling a sword from a stone. Get involved personally and show them all how it's done. Yes, Emma is definitely worthy. She's going to be the one who's strong enough.
Research has begun.
All right, we're just going to tuck the sword here into this little alcove. Oh, I love it. It has the light shining down on it. So me and my wife actually just recently watched the Disney Sword in the Stone with the little animated King Arthur, and it's just like that. Only I guess it's in an anvil in that one.
Wanted was an ancient and powerful magical sword to hold as a symbol over Hammer's head. So why is it now shooting fire in my base? That's not a thing swords normally do.
We didn't know it to do that, boss. We think whatever wizard put it in that stone probably cursed it.
Wizards. Magic. The ancient world is arrogant to think they can cast such a shadow on the future. The future. That's it. We can't beat this thing with magic. But against science, it will be no match.
Oh no, what is this fire? I love this. Okay, steal the acid on the world stage. Acid trip. You've had enough of trying to play by Merlin's rules. Hammer has an experimental acid that can dissolve almost any substance known to humanity. Steal it and use it to eat away the stone from the sword. Hammer has sent their knights gallantly here to defend the sword and recapture it. I was really hoping that these guys would have like Sir in front of their name to really play into this, but they're just investigators. Quality poor. Apparently protecting the Sword of the Stone was not a priority for them. Though Chipolata's resolve was completely depleted, she knew she must soldier on to find the sword. Apply the ingenuity of the modern world to the mysticism of the Ancient One. Raise Excalibur. Again. Felix Buckney. Here's the one! Here's King of England! The Sword in the Stone! Merlin claimed whoever wielded this sword would never fall in battle. That might have been true before they invented guns and heavy artillery. So what the sword does is it can be operated by any of your muscle minions. They're going to go up to it and they are going to try to pull the sword out of the stone, and they spend their smarts while they do so. So this is a pretty complex loot item because there are actually two outcomes for them. One is they succeed in lifting the sword out of the stone, and the other is that they fail and the sword will just stay here. And they're going to continue to deplete their smarts working on this, even though it doesn't look like they're thinking very hard, until their smarts hit about like 35 or so, and then they leave. And so what happens most often is they will fail, and then they're going to be able to pop up a little bubble over their heads that shows the sword still in the stone. Like right here, this guy just did it. Waiting for intruders, but you see the little icon there. So if they had succeeded, you would see the sword just free and kind of gleaming. And so if they do succeed, then they go to sleep and they have this buff inspired by the stone or chosen or something. And that means that if they die in a combat encounter, or if they would normally die, they actually rapidly regenerate their health instead. And so they become like this immortal warrior for you. So the sword is pretty interesting. It's hard to gauge really how useful it is because pretty much all your guards will just fail, and they don't try and pull the sword very quickly on their own. You can use your genius to try and get more of them to work on the sword. I haven't really cracked the code on what makes the difference on them being able to actually lift the sword versus not being able to lift the sword. Like, I don't know if it is one of these traits, like there's a specific trait they have to be able to lift the sword, or if there's traits that keep them from being able to do so. But outside of the main mission, I've basically never seen a guard succeed in lifting the sword from the stone, and so then in that case the guards are only wasting their smarts, and they don't actually get a buff if they fail to lift the sword. It's only when they do that they become this immortal warrior for you. So overall, it's pretty hard for me to gauge how useful this item is because it's only giving the buff to so few characters. You do not get like this full army of immortal guards, which obviously would be way too strong, but it does. It just only affects 1 or 2 guards at a time, and so that's going to be just a really small incremental increase to your security force's ability. It's obviously nice to have. It's better than some of the other loot items that don't do anything, but I would not rate it too highly among the tier list of all the loot items. If you're able to get it, you won't regret it, but you are going to want something nearby where the guards can replenish their smarts, because they're going to go from 100 to about 35, like I said, any of the guys who end up working on this. Maybe I am just missing something about this item, and if so, check the comments for if anyone has had more experience with this item or has been able to crack the code on what really makes the guards be able to succeed when they try and lift the sword, and what situation that is, and then be able to gauge better how useful this guy is. Thank you guys for following along with me with all of these side stories to pick up loot. I finally have all the footage I need to put together my loot tier list, which is going to be coming out as my next video. Subscribe if you want to be able to get the notification of exactly when that video drops. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.